Just crack him and he would just fire back at you, and he knocked a lot of people out just because he could take a shot so well.
During his peak years, Chuck Liddell appeared invincible. This dominance carried a hidden price tag. Liddell forged his reputation by weathering devastating strikes, absorbing heavy blows, and believing his iron jaw would never lail him.
Fighting. He shouldn't be fighting. At 50, he clearly can't take a punch anymore.
When fans and critics alike pleaded for his retirement, the toll was already evident. They should be...
Somebody was picking on you, bullying you, maybe even hitting you, and you stood there with your hands by your side, your fist balled up, your hands by your side, and the daycare teacher was like, "Why are you not fighting back?"
Well, my mom told me I wasn't allowed to fight. I wasn't allowed to hit anybody, so, I wouldn't do it. I mean, as my mom said I can't, so I guess I'll just sit here and take it. But and it happened a few times, and he finally called my mom and talked to her and said, "You got to let him defend himself. We can't be there every time something's happening." And he's just letting him. And I was like, okay, So she took me to my grandfather and had him teach me some straight punches and started throwing punches. And as far as defending myself, the rest is history.
Nobody expressed surprise when news emerged suggesting Chuck might be suffering from traumatic brain injuries. This represented the inevitable conclusion of a destructive pattern his own combat approach had created. Here's how one of MMA's most intimidating warriors exceeded his physical boundaries and faced the consequences. The ascension of the Iceman. Charles David Liddell entered the world December 17, 1969, in Santa Barbara, California. A single mother and his grandparents raised him. Boxing fundamentals came from his grandfather during childhood.
It was Koikan Karate-Do was my first style. I was black belt. I won our nationals for our style.
When Liddell reached 12 years old, he started Koikan karate training, later permanently marking these words on his scalp to honor this martial foundation.
People probably don't have any idea that you have a business degree.
I wanted to get a PE degree, but my grandma didn't believe that was a real major. So I had to pick a major when I was a freshman. I picked accounting. I was good at it.
Outside of organized sports, however, he developed a reputation for toughness in a different way. Liddell often found himself involved in street fights, where his size, strength, and early martial arts training set him apart from his peers.
I used to even say in high school, I used to say, man, it sucks. Well, the thing I'm really good at, I can't make money doing. And I was talking about street fighting. I was going to Cal Poly at the time. I was like 19, I think. One of the resident wrestling practices goes to me, "By any chance, did you jump off a car and kick a guy in the head?" Yeah. How do you know?
Did you lose any fights in high school? Was there anybody you fought that somebody caught you, or did you ever none? So you don't remember ever?
His physical gifts earned him admission to California Polytechnic State University for Division I wrestling competition. Business accounting became his bachelor's degree focus in 1995. His grandmother steered him away from physical education studies, doubting its academic legitimacy.
I got called into an old karate school. They called me in because they had a black belt coming in to spar. I came in and it was John.
So I get there and the guy goes, "Oh yeah, well, I can't really fight you, so you're going to go with one of my students." There it was Chuck, and I was like, "Okay, all right, I'm going to go." I gave my card before I left and just said, "If you ever really want to learn, the sport part of it or whatever, and give me a call." And
so I called him up and I'm like, "Hey," he's like, "Yeah, come on up, let's go, let's train."
Liddell established credibility through amateur kickboxing with 20 victories against 2 defeats, 16 ending by knockout. 2 national amateur kickboxing titles followed. This period introduced him to John Hackleman, an experienced kickboxer leading the Pit Gym in San Luis Obispo.
How did you get your nickname?
My trainer, John Hackleman, gave it to me. I think it was like my 3rd or 4th kickboxing fight. He came looking for me, couldn't find me. He finally found me, I was sleeping. He's like, "You don't get nervous before every fight?" No. Then he started calling me Iceman because I don't get nervous before fights.
He was the Iceman. I've never seen him lose his cool.
Despite his success, the sport offered little financial security at the time, and he often struggled to make ends meet.
I was having a lot of fun, but I wasn't making any money. And the UFC had come along during that time, but no one knew how to get into it.
During this period, he even considered leaving combat sports altogether to find a steady job that could support him long term.
So I was close to going back and getting a real job. I graduated in accounting right around 97.
Hackleman transformed into Liddell's career cornerstone. He polished Chuck's natural power into the relentless striking approach that would eventually elevate him to UFC supremacy. Eckelman also coined Liddell's legendary nicknames.
Dana was actually managing, I think, Tito. And Wayne Harriman, who's friends with Tito and Dana, was a friend of mine and would see me train with Tito. And he actually told Dana, you might want to sign this guy. He might be better than Tito. So Dana signed me then. He was my manager. So he's managing me and Tito.
Simultaneously.
Yeah.
Well, before the UFC, I managed both Chuck and Tito. So, I did have a relationship with both guys.
It was awesome. I traveled around for a long time trying to promote the sport. I did a lot of things trying to just get the sport out there.
His professional mixed martial arts journey began in 1998 at UFC 17 in Mobile, Alabama. Noe Hernandez fell to unanimous decision defeat. Before reaching the premier platform, Label formed connections with Dana White, then operating as a talent manager.
I'm telling you, when Chuck Liddell was in his prime, he was one of the most terrifying fucking human beings that's ever walked the face of the earth.
Liddell encountered early obstacles during his UFC journey. UFC 19 in 1999 brought technical submission defeat against Jeremy Horn via arm triangle choke. This marked his sole career submission loss. He recovered through a string of commanding victories. From 2000 through 2002, he conquered respected opponents, including Paul Jones, Kevin Randleman, Murillo Bustamante, and Vitor Belfort. May 27, 2001, saw him travel to Japan for a second-round knockout of Guy Mezger at Pride. He became the inaugural UFC athlete to compete in the Japanese organization.
It was in Tito's head big time because every time they trained together, Tito would get beat up. I'm talking drop him on the ground and Tito refusing to get back up. Chuck would want to hook up and spar and whatever, and Tito would never want to spar.
When we trained together, I took him down way more than he took me down.
No way.
But that's why he didn't want to fight me, because he couldn't out wrestle me. And then when we're striking, I used to drop him with body shots, and he never dropped me.
He never dropped you?
No, never.
Absolutely, positively would not fight Chuck because he knew he couldn't beat Chuck.
The current champion, Tito Ortiz, declined to face him. Former training partners, Ortiz understood Liddell's capabilities.
The other event got fucking huge, and then Chuck Liddell came onto the scene.
Yes.
And when Chuck Liddell was the champion, Chuck Liddell was so fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
He was this do or die berserker. He would just come at you, just swinging bombs, take one on the chin, knock dudes out. His fights were wild.
He didn't give a shit.
He was the real reason why the UFC became uber popular, because you would watch The Ultimate Fighter and it was a wild fight, a great fight, but then you need a destroyer.
Right.
You need a destroyer, and that destroyer was Chuck Liddell. And
Okay.
for the run where he was at the top, where Chuck Liddell was just murking people.
So he was kind of like the Michael Jordan in that.
The UFC established an interim light heavyweight championship and arranged Liddell against Randy Couture at UFC 43 in 2003. Couture employed direct punches and clinching to counter Liddell's wide hooks. Couture secured takedowns and claimed TKO victory. Later that year, Liddell entered Pride's 2003 middleweight Grand Prix. Alistair Overeem succumbed to knockout in round 1. But Quinton Rampage Jackson delivered second-round TKO defeat in the semifinals. Once Ortiz resolved his UFC contract disagreements, he lost to Randy Couture. This opened opportunities for Liddell versus Ortiz at UFC 47 in April 2004. Liddell exceeded expectations. Second-round knockout of Ortiz followed. Early 2005 saw Liddell selected as coach for the inaugural Ultimate Fighter season alongside Randy Couture. The show achieved remarkable success. April 16, 2005, at UFC 52, brought Liddell's first-round knockout of Couture, securing the UFC light heavyweight championship.
His fights when he knocked out Tito Ortiz, like, oh my God, he was a monster.
Right.
He was a monster.
I knew Chuck Liddell was going to win those fights. I knew he was. He had Tito's number. Tito couldn't deal with Chuck's style, his power, his wrestling. Tito couldn't take Chuck down, and Chuck was 1,000,000% in Tito's head.
It was Liddell's fourth consecutive title defense, and it emphatically reaffirmed his dominance over his rival.
By the end of
He essentially elevated the entire sport. Between 2005 and 2007, Liddell successfully defended his championship 4 occasions. Jeremy Horn, Randy Couture in their trilogy conclusion, Renato Sobral, and Tito Ortiz in their sequel all fell. The second Ortiz encounter at UFC 66 achieved unprecedented financial success for UFC events. Liddell competed despite a torn MCL, but still finished Ortiz in round 3.
Rampage wasted little time in the rematch. He caught Liddell with a right hook in the first round, dropping him, and followed up with ground strikes to score a knockout just 1 minute 53 seconds into the fight. In a flash, Chuck Liddell's reign as champion was over.
Good left hook to the bottom.
It was a stunning defeat, the first knockout loss of Liddell's UFC career, and it marked a turning point.
Chuck, you've been the most dominant light heavyweight champion in the history of the UFC.
By 2006, Chuck Liddell had eliminated most elite challengers. He embodied the UFC brand. His mohawk hairstyle, tattooed head, and knockout celebrations became legendary. He accomplished 7 straight knockout victories in UFC history. The decline every dominant champion eventually faces defeat. For Liddell, this moment arrived in 2007. May 26, 2007, at UFC 71 featured his title defense against Quinton Rampage Jackson, who had previously defeated him in Japan 4 years prior. This encounter carried greater significance with UFC championship stakes.
When Chuck was young, he was known for having like a granite chin. You could just crack him and he would just fire back at you, and he knocked a lot of people out just because he could take a shot so well. And then one day, it just stopped working.
Stories emerged about Liddell visiting nightclubs during fight week. Critics questioned his preparation. Liddell dismissed this as standard procedure for his Las Vegas bouts. But discussions about his lifestyle intensified. 4 months later, Liddell returned against Keith Jardine. Many believed his recovery period was insufficient. Jardine's unorthodox approach and leg attacks secured split decision victory. Chuck's second consecutive loss followed.
Yeah, and then the knockouts came, like Rampage KO'd him, and then other people were KOing him, and then it just got to a point where it's just like one good punch and you would just go out. It's like your brain knows you're so tough, and it's like, hey, we got to protect this guy. He's stupid. He's going to keep getting hit, so let's just shut off.
December 2007 brought Liddell against Wanderlei Silva at UFC 79. Both fighters specialized in knockouts with aggressive approaches. Neither disappointed expectations. 3 exciting rounds unfolded. Liddell earned unanimous decision victory. This bout received 207's Fight of the Year recognition. This triumph became his final MMA career win. Great.
Yeah. When I got to the weigh-in and we did the face-off, for me, I was like, oh, man, Chuck looks serious, because I watched him so many times. That's when I really started to think man, I'm fighting Chuck Liddell. So that's when, for me, the nerve started. And then I hit up Randy Couture, who just happened to be a floor below me, and I go and see Randy, and I'm like, oh man, Randy, I'm scared, man. I'm scared. And Randy's like, what's going on? He's like, oh man, I just can't shake this feeling, man. I'm just so nervous about tomorrow, and I don't want to get beat up and knocked out in front of everybody. And the best advice I ever got, he said, you got to make friends with the worst enemy. When you make friends with the worst enemy, you understand that life will go on. And then I worked myself up into a lather just thinking about it, yeah, I got to face my fears. I got to face my worst enemy.
The Iceman began experiencing accumulated damage from his lengthy career by 2008. September 6, 2008, featured Liddell against Rashad Evans at UFC.
It was crazy.
And he didn't get up.
It was such a flush shot.
The brutal loss was a sobering moment, and many observers thought it might be the end of the road for Chuck.
Because his style was so aggressive, that people could just set, boom, and counter, like Rashad Evans did with him. And so you're getting his momentum coming forward and the shot.
Yeah.
Evans delivered one of UFC's most brutal knockouts during round 2, a single overhand right rendering Liddell unconscious.
I care about him. I care about his health. And it's over, man. We all turned 40. It's over. Listen, I've been pushing for retirement. He's my friend. I love him. I care about him. We sat down. We had a 2-hour talk. He wanted to do this. He fucking has nothing to prove. Nothing to prove. He doesn't have to prove anything to me, the rest of the world. He's got shitloads of money. There's no reason for it.
April 2009 brought Liddell's return against Mauricio Shogun Rua at UFC 97. Shogun finished Liddell through first-round TKO. Following this defeat, UFC President Dana White publicly questioned whether Liddell should retire.
Chuck told me before the season started, when I asked him to do it, he said, I guarantee you, Tito will not fight me. We'll do this show and he'll pull out of the fight, I guarantee it. And that's why when Tito pulled out, I was like, holy shit. Chuck was right, and, I had to go tell Chuck that Tito pulled out. Tito pulled out of the fight.
That fucking pussy Don't let that guy fight anymore, man. He's a fucking.
They settled on one final bout. The plan involved Tito Ortiz after both coached opposing teams on Ultimate Fighter Season 11, but Ortiz withdrew due to injury.
Chuck Liddell came in. He worked hard for this thing, and I think him and Rich Franklin tonight fought the type of fights that made them both famous and made them both world champions tonight. Those two went at it. He means a lot to this company, and he means a lot to the sport. He means a lot to me personally. He was a great champion. He was a great business partner. He's always going to have a home with the UFC. He gave it his last shot. You know what? He went out like Chuck Liddell would. Came out blasting, bombing, tried to put Rich away in the slugfest, and he gave the fans a good last fight with the X-Man.
Liddell's final UFC appearance matched him with Rich Franklin at UFC 115 in June 2010. First-round knockout defeat concluded the contest. His third straight knockout loss resulted.
People asked me for a long time why I stuck around so long. I'm like, if I was getting my ass kicked and then getting knocked out, it would have been a lot easier to hang it up. I was getting paid really well, and I was winning fights and then just getting caught. So you always think, oh man, I can fix that. We had a dinner together. I said, look, man, I can't figure out why this happened. I can't compete the way I used to. So, I'm done.
And I'm here today with my partner, Lorenzo Fertitta, to announce his retirement. Myself, my partners owe a lot to Chuck Liddell. And we're also here today to announce that he is becoming one of the top executives in the UFC. Chuck Liddell is now the new Executive Vice President of Business Development.
July 10, 2009 saw Liddell's induction into the UFC Hall of Fame Pioneer Wing on December 29, 2010. He officially announced retirement at the UFC 25 press conference. The UFC appointed him Vice President of Business Development. This was intended as permanent employment.
And Chuck Liddell and Tito are fighting. So what else you got?
Ooh, what do you think of that?
Not my cup of tea, but
you're gonna watch it.
For sure. Well,
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, we'll watch it. We might do a fight companion for it.
There's some people say it shouldn't happen. Right?
Oh no, I don't think it shouldn't happen. I look at it more like I think if Chuck Liddell was still employee of the UFC getting paid $400,000 just to chill or whatever he was doing for the UFC, he would not be fighting. I think it's more of a money play, which bums me out. Because I think Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, what they did for the sport, should be compensated for the rest of their lives. It bums me out they have to fight to make money. That bums me out.
New owners purchased the UFC for $4 billion in 2020. Company-wide restructuring followed. Chuck Liddell and fellow Hall of Famer Matt Hughes lost their executive roles. His supposed lifetime position ended. In 2018, 48-year-old Liddell announced his comeback. A third Tito Ortiz fight became his target. Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions organized the contest, not the UFC.
Can't be fighting. He shouldn't be fighting. At 50, he clearly can't take a punch anymore.
Dana White opposed this fight. He called the California State Athletic Commission's sanctioning disgusting. He argued Liddell's 2010 retirement was health-motivated protection.
He just felt like he always had Tito's number. But this is the problem, is like Tito wins now. When it all said and done, Tito KO'd him. And he KO'd him more soundly than Chuck ever KO'd Tito. Yeah, Tito put Chuck out. He put him out. You're dealing with a guy whose brains are, it's just, he's been scrambled too many times.
He didn't immediately make a retirement speech in the cage, but the consensus in the MMA community was that this would be the end. And in March 2020, Chuck Liddell confirmed he had retired from MMA competition again, this time for good.
November 24th, 2018, brought Liddell and Ortiz into the cage one final time at the Forum in Inglewood, California, ending quickly in round one. Ortiz knocked out Liddell with strikes at 4-4. Liddell's 7th career knockout defeat and 4th consecutive since 2007.
He has been saying that he misses it. It was his favorite thing.
Yeah, I miss playing baseball.
He misses it.
To me, it's more of a sad story.
See, I think Tito, he might actually want this fight just to fight Chuck again.
On November 24th, 2018, Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz stepped into the cage one last time.
The California State Athletic Commission imposed indefinite medical suspension on Liddell. U.S. competition became effectively prohibited. The Guardian described it as repugnant spectacle. Critics argued unnecessary brain trauma exposure for Liddell.
All done the right way at the right time.
I don't have any regrets. I had a great time. I mean, it was fun. I got paid a lot of money to do what I love for a living, and my body held together pretty dang well.
March 2020 brought Liddell's confirmation of permanent MMA retirement. The consequences: Chuck Liddell's career aftermath extended beyond his fighting conclusion. Years of brutal exchanges left accumulated damage that followed him into retirement. October 11th, 2C21 brought Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies to a domestic disturbance at Liddell's Hidden Hills residence. Verbal disagreement between Liddell and wife Heidi Northcott escalated to physical confrontation. Their daughter witnessed events, but couldn't determine who initiated contact. Liddell displayed slight facial redness and minor chest marking. Heidi showed no visible trauma. Misdemeanor domestic battery charges resulted in Liddell's arrest, Malibu/Lost Hill Sheriff's Station booking, and $20,000 bail release followed. Hours later, Liddell posted on Instagram, "I was the victim of the incident last night at our family home. As details of the case will reveal, deputies informed me that my wife would be arrested, as I did not respond to her assault while I sustained bruising and lacerations. I volunteered to go in her place. This was one of many times I have tried to shield a family mental health issue from public eye out of love and loyalty to her. But now it's apparent that is impossible. It's time for this relationship to end." October 18th brought the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, declining charges against both parties. Insufficient evidence was cited. Cross-complaint classification resulted with mutual accusations. 4 days post-incident, Liddell filed divorce papers. Their relationship began around 2009 with 2 children together. Divorce proceedings lasted nearly 4 years. September 2022 custody evaluation court documents revealed disturbing allegations from Heidi Northcott. She claimed Liddell showed chronic traumatic encephalopathy signs, the degenerative brain condition linked to repeated head trauma. Court filings reported by The Blast stated he's been knocked out many times and has CTE. He can't remember stuff and gets stuck on speech. He's going to have dementia or Alzheimer's. He has terrible sleep apnea. Northcott described additional mental health issues: depression, paranoia, impulsiveness, and substance abuse. Escapism were mentioned. She claimed increasingly erratic and violent behavior. CTE requires post-mortem brain examination for definitive diagnosis, but Liddell's career provided concerning evidence. 7 knockout defeats occurred during his career, 4 consecutive in his final 5 contests. His aggressive sprawl and brawl approach meant absorbing heavy damage while delivering offense. Years of intense sparring increased the toll. Liddell's brain health concerns preceded 2022 allegations. By 2012, journalists observed slurred speech and word-finding difficulties during interviews. A 2007 Good Morning Texas television appearance showed drowsiness, slurred words, and mid-interview sleeping. The Nevada State Athletic Commission mandated drug testing before sanctioning his subsequent fight. He passed testing. Years later, Liddell revealed illness, previous night partying, and large ambient dosage. Effects persisted unexpectedly. Texas to California travel memory was absent. Custody evaluation recommended joint custody for Liddell and his ex-wife. Random drug testing was court-mandated for both parents. April 2025 brought divorce finalization. Joint legal and physical custody terms included: Liddell agreed to $5,000 monthly child support, $700,000 education fund, and medical extracurricular coverage. Heidi received $71,000 one-time spousal support payment. Liddell's attorney Juliana Loyola stated, after quashing numerous false allegations against Chuck, the parties reached a divorce settlement outside of court. Chuck is a great father. He has always and will continue to put his children first. October 2025 brought Liddell's remarriage. Heidi Ray became his Las Vegas bride. Liddell has pursued proactive brain health measures. 2024 brought BioAccelerator, visits in Colombia for stem cell treatments targeting joint inflammation reduction, CTE prevention, and longevity enhancement. The facility operates clinical trials for concussion syndrome and CTE. Liddell's situation reflects broader MMA challenges. Unlike NFL or boxing, MMA lacks player association or pension systems. Retired fighters face physical and financial hardships without union healthcare or retirement funding. Many resort to crowdfunding or unrelated employment. The Guardian highlighted former fighter struggles and inadequate protection against exploitative comebacks, driven by financial necessity. 2007 real estate fraud also victimized Liddell. Property investments with developer Kelly Gerhardt preceded his wire fraud and money laundering guilty plea. Escrow officer improperly released Liddell's funds with alleged signature forgery. Deal transfers never occurred. 2015 brought nearly $2 million damages victory for Liddell. Despite everything, Liddell's pioneering legacy continues. Podcasts, promotional events, and UFC appearances keep him active. 2025 interviews featured his praise for modern fighters like Alex Pereira as real fighters. His story serves as both celebration and cautionary tale. Liddell helped transform MMA from niche entertainment into global phenomenon. Millions attended events, and new fighter generations found inspiration, but his aggressive chin-forward approach carried long-term consequences. As of 2026 at age 56, Liddell continues navigating health challenges. His ex-wife's CTE allegations remain unverified, but align with combat sports athlete patterns. Memory problems, speech difficulties, sleep apnea, mood alterations persist. Whether his body maintained the integrity he believes and whether his brain did as well remains the critical question. This concludes our examination. For additional compelling content like this, select the cards displayed on your screen.